How you doing? This is Mike from Mike's Random Thoughts. So this is just an off-the-top episode that it was originally an article I wrote out for my blog. That I decided to do an off-the-top episode to let you guys know what's going on with the show, what's going on with the update, and pretty much with me. So over the years, I've received a lot of criticism. And this is from different things, whether that be my punctuation, whether that be my grammar, or playing out the usage of the English language. Now, I didn't build this show for everyone. And it was never meant to be just for everyone. And yes, I am a Christian. And no, I am not soft, and we all know I am definitely not PC. So I'm not here to smile and pretend that the world isn't on fire right now. You know, I built Mike's Random Thoughts because there was more to life, like faith, history, and humanity, than a whitewashed version that people try to feed you. Whether that be from the education system or whether that be from the current, like social media and big time media. Now, the world is actually dark and it is brutal. The world can be hilarious, but it can also be ugly. It can be complicated. It can be bloody and yet still chaotic. And that's kind of the stuff that I've always talked about on this show and on my platform. So I'm not here to play it safe, and I never, ever will be, as far as I can tell. So I've covered things on this podcast show such as serial killers. I've covered gangs, cults, human trafficking, organ trafficking, organized crime, sexual psychology, sexual sin, corruption, war, conspiracies, secret societies, the fall of different global leaders, the death of pure innocence, the collision between faith and reality. And I'm basically not afraid to approach different subjects. Hold on one second. And I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't exist just to make people feel better, meaning the darkness of the world. So I believe in Jesus and I believe in the Bible, but I'm not blind. And if you think that being a Christian means walking and being silent and hiding from the truth and hiding from the world, you are dead wrong. And that's a certainty. So I will talk about the messy parts of the faith and the real battles inside of the people and the ugliness of the sin and the weight of redemption, the scars that nobody actually wants to admit that they actually have. And I will laugh at the dark jokes and still cry over the real pain in the actual world that's going on. And why would I do that? Because that's just plain and simply real life. That's what real people are going through. So, over back to the main show blog, Mike's Random Thoughts Facebook page. Now, I'm already posting, like different reels, memes, videos, articles, different types of links, random pictures, everything that makes up basically the world that I live in, as well as the mind that I actually have. Meaning like the things I actually find interesting or intriguing, things I'd actually watch, when I'm at home and just relaxing. So I used to actually flood my my different blogs with nothing but political headlines. And now I am flooding them basically with the truth, real, random information, and just basically raw, just me being myself. At least that's what I'm attempting to try to do now. So why am I bringing this up? Well, news and current events, they're coming back too lately. However, I'm trying not to do them every single day. After all, it is about quality, not about the noise, right? Now, I'm thinking maybe maybe 1 time to 3 times a week right now. And it's kind of a back and forth thing right now. If you're like an actual reader of the blog, you know that. So the rest of the time, basically, it is my thoughts that I'm actually having, my research, as well as my unfiltered takes on things that I'm seeing or, engaging in, that I would actually share on those blog spots with you. So what's going on behind the scenes? Well, I've basically been grinding harder than I ever was before. I'm researching nonstop, I'm actually writing nonstop, and I'm stacking different episodes currently. Now, I'm building something, or at least I'm trying to build something bigger than what everyone basically anticipates from me. And what I'm meaning by that is I've been known to just do political talk, current events, and taboo subjects. I'm trying to go into the deeper waters, people in, my church, let's say. So every post that you actually see in every clip, even article, it is part of the actual podcast machine that I'm building. I'm not just waiting for, the perfect time to drop material anymore. I am just reading, writing, and building while the world's sleeping and just kind of chilling out. So you can't really put my show in a box, and I know many people have tried to. And you can't really put a label on it. That's something else many people have done, including myself. I've not yet been able to find an actual label for my podcast show. I've tried. Other people have tried, but it's difficult to do because, again, it is actually a very random podcast show. So basically, it makes it hard to be able to control. It's random because, honestly, isn't life random? It is brutal, and it moves fast, and it moves quickly, and it moves honest, if you're honest with yourself. So, new episodes, such as the one I'm recording, will be dropping soon, as well as I'm trying to decide what daily content to post on my different blogs. A lot of people are starting to read them and subscribe to them, and I'm hoping that trend actually continues. So Mike's Random Thoughts is becoming alive again. And basically, we're at the very start of it, so we're just starting over again. Now, I don't know if I'm going to bring this up again in an article. I'm just going to go say it. As everybody knows, before my old podcast show got completely shut down, the blogs, even my personal blogs, I lost pretty much everything, and it took basically a year to gather everything back to be able to post again. And that's what I've been doing. So, what you can do, follow the hashtag Mike's Random Thoughts if you want the truth, basically, without the training wheels. Well, basically, it's Sunday whenever I wrote this, and I was on my way to church. So, again, originally I wrote this out as to be an article on a blog. So, one of the downsides of being autistic and disabled like myself is that when it's time to relaunch something, chaos is never far behind. Now, when I say chaos, I'm not being just dramatic, you know what I'm saying? I'm actually meaning real, tangible, brain-frying, actual chaos. Now, when I'm going over my notes recently, I noticed something interesting. Hold that thought. I noticed a pattern building. A lot of people were making legitimate complaints, as far as I see them. And I don't mean just online. Even offline. Conversations mirrored the same kind of feedback that I was getting online. Now, basically, it boiled down to one word. And one word I didn't really want to use, but I had to. Overwhelming. Now, some told me that my content kind of felt cliche or was becoming cliche. Said the articles I posted were either becoming a day behind or sometimes a full week behind in some cases. Hold that thought. Now, in this fast-paced, swipe right kind of world, that you can never really make a huge, difference. And I get that. I really, truly do. So like I said earlier, being autistic while dealing with the disability comes with its own kind of complications. Part of my disability includes OCD, specifically, basically what's called known as habitual behavior, habit-forming behavior. Meaning, once I am locked into a certain kind of pattern or rhythm of moving in life, I don't just go with the flow as people do. A lot of people go, just go with the flow, man. Just chill out, bro. I've never been able to do that. I go to a certain rhythm and a certain pattern. I get a pattern and a rhythm going, and that's what I do. And they're talking about go with a different kind of flow, just chill down and just relax, man. I ain't doing that. I've always been a mover and just moving around. Basically, I become the flow, so to speak. So when I start podcasting and I start blogging, I went in basically without a parachute, so to speak. Now I asked myself, how do I blog now? I mean, what should I actually make content about? It's been basically over a year, a little bit over a year now. So naturally, I wanted to include on my show, and I wanted more than what I did before. At the time, I was doing a lot of different live stuff, such as I was making guest appearances on different people's podcast shows. So, hold on a second. It made sense at the time to include news and current events to myself because I was going on people's different live shows and we're going over different political conversations, current events, global events, things that was going on. So at the time, it made sense to, go head on in with that. And that's what I did. I mean, I really went head on in with it. But once I opened up that door, I didn't just, as I was saying, I didn't just peek inside. I explored every single nook and cranny and hallway, every single closet, every single dusty crawl space that I could actually find. And I know what some of you are thinking. So what? It's just current events. Not just so fast. It is just a little current events, right? Everything is instant now, though. Think about that. Trying to keep up with real-time news and updates was both exhausting and infuriating for myself. Not because of my audience. Trust me, I never meant that. Not because of my audience. No, because of the system itself. No matter how I approached it, I kept finding myself just kind of buried in nonstop news links. I mean, my blog and podcast suffered as a result long term, as you all know. My personal life also took its own hits during this time. Conversations online and offline became constant battlegrounds for myself. I got censored at the time. I got shut down, and eventually I lost even jobs offline. And even family members, due to my different political beliefs. I basically wore my heart on my sleeve. And at the time, I was ready to debate anyone, 24/7. It didn't matter. So it didn't matter what country they were in. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? I was ready and willing to go all the time at that time. Now, there wasn't a picture of me back in this time period early on when I was starting this podcast and blog, for a good couple of years where I wasn't holding some type of electronic device. And that included at home, church, social events, and even work. So somehow I always had, a screen in front of me is what I'm saying. And when I say 24/7, I do mean just that, 24/7. By the time I woke up every single day, at the peak of whenever I was doing Mike's Random Thoughts on the show back in the day, I would have already had basically 199 plus, if not more, different news updates, leads waiting for me by the time I turned on my cell phone. That wasn't including the regular news leads such as BBC, NPR, CNN, Fox, Newsmax, CBN, Wall Street Journal, military news. And basically at the time, what I was doing with the mainstream news was I was picking my top 3 favorite news and plus what's called conservative news networks, right? And talk radio shows that I was actually going to listen to nonstop, basically. I had that going as soon as I woke up. It had some type of political talk radio going somewhere. Now, keep in mind, I was doing all of that on top of running my own podcast show, writing blogs, constant research, covering true crime, history, theology, artificial intelligence, robotics, different historical genocides, and ongoing current genocides, as well as faith-based episodes. Now, photo art was also included in this on my blogs and photography in general. I've always loved doing photography. No, I'm not talking about I never was a professional photographer. I was just that annoying friend or family member that enjoyed the hell out of taking pictures that you're like, man, quit taking a picture. Remember when we used to have those throwaway digital cameras? Y'all remember that? Like the little Kodak ones or the Paneria ones that had the paper on it. And you'd have to go down to the drugstore and get them developed and wait for them to get developed and all that, I was that annoying friend or family member that was always like, hey, at the worst possible time, taking pictures of everybody and go, it was a great picture, man. Caught you in the moment. I was one of those people. Well, I still enjoy art, and I still enjoy my enjoyment of art has transformed into digital photo art and different photography, and that was including all of that back then. So I was also sharing different funny content videos, memes, and even movie clips that I enjoyed with everybody. And that was my efforts of trying to let my audience and readers know who I was as a person, like the things I actually found humorous or liked, or what you would find me listening to or watching. You get what I'm saying? Basically. So all of that, right? I was trying to build a podcast show, and ultimately, eventually, I really wanted to build a network. Now, while being a husband to my wife and a father to my 3 children, a dog dad, 4 different little dogs, holding down a regular job, attending church, and trying to stay involved and get more involved in different church activities, right? Bear with me, guys. So let's be real. I was running basically on pure caffeine and pure self-determination. Some nights, people didn't know this. I'm pretty sure ones like Malice and ones I talk to on a regular basis is Malice. There's certain ones of you guys that you guys know who you are, I talk to on a regular basis. They would know this. But I was basically running on caffeine and determination. Some nights I was actually only sleeping like 3 to 4 different hours, if that. And then on top of that, I was wondering, why the hell am I constantly on edge? Because ultimately I had to admit to myself, it wasn't sustainable. You know what I mean? Healthy for my brain. You had mental health. Even physical health was taking a hit because I was just going nonstop. You know what I mean? Just on and go. So eventually, I decided, hey, I need to take some time off, and it took that couple months, turned into a year, and then some change. Eventually, my listeners and readers got tired of hearing when I was going to come back. I got tired of trying to decide when I was going to come back. So I just kept doing what I could do because I knew I wanted to come back eventually. But let me get back to where I was on this. So even then, right, some platforms, right, while I was taking time off, meaning I wasn't posting anything except for material that like every daily social media user would actually share, such as funny videos or memes, GIFs, things like that, music, and everything I was doing was still getting taken down. Even though I wasn't posting current events, news, global politics, and all of that mess, right? Somehow, even though I wasn't doing that, they were still, nah, we're going to shut you down, buddy, and they did. So, I literally took me close to a year, literally, to dig, deeply dig, just to recover my personal material, like personal family photos, you know what I'm saying? Personal writings, things like that, travel photos, memories, on top of my podcast stuff, just to recover what material that I could. I wasn't even able to recover everything. I was still working on trying to get some of it back. Some of it I've given up on, other stuff I am trying to get back. Okay? Some accounts were just gone. Okay? I'm hoping I get into this in an article, but just in case, during this time period, my Facebook Meta basically took down all my different accounts. I had 2 of them going at the time. They took down my accounts at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had posted the court paperwork on Hunter Biden. And I had looked on my phone, when you could look to see like when certain things happen and all this other stuff. So I posted that, and judging by what they had said, they had taken it down at 3:30 in the morning, meaning I was sound asleep. I live in, as many of you guys know, I live in Oklahoma. And that's what I meant by, and you guys know how Meta works. That's connected at the time. I was dumb. I had Meta connected to everything, and I decided not to make that mistake again. And if you're out there, listen to me. Never let Meta be your primary source of signing into different things on your phone, on your computer, or any one of your electronic devices. Because I learned my lesson whenever they shut down my account at 3 o'clock in the morning. It affected everything because, like everybody else at that time, I had everything connected to Facebook. I mean, when I first started using Facebook, I was just a regular social media user. I had everything connected to it, and I didn't think nothing of it. But I found out when they shut it down because I lost everything. And it took a very long time to be able to get all that material back. So never make that mistake. Find other ways to be able to sign into your different accounts. I know it takes longer, but believe me, it's definitely worth it. Okay. The other recommendation, get a junk drive, or not a junk drive. Sorry. Pardon my French. Sorry. Get a, like one of those memory sticks that you can get, and store all your material on, or pay for material storage online somewhere. It's actually worth it. An online locker is actually worth it. That way you can store all your stuff, and whenever some social media company decides, hey, we don't like this guy, we don't like what he's saying, or girl, we don't like what y'all are saying, so y'all ain't willing to play ball with us and go by our rules, so we just gonna shut you down. So trust me when I say it's worth paying the money for an online locker or any other type of way that you have to store it. I highly recommend that you do that, because once they decide to shut down your account, you're not gonna be able to get into anything. You have to basically redo everything. I wouldn't want it on anybody else, trust me. It was not fun. So don't make that mistake. Never let them control everything. Never let social media companies control your way to lock on to anything. Go the longer route, manually log into everything. Because if you have them locked into where they automatically do it, they also can lock you out. So, word to the wise. So anyways, during that time, I started basically, posting random content again. This is partially basically due to I wanted to do an experiment. To see basically how all you guys responded. To basically where we are now at this point. I am literally basically, days away right now from relaunching the podcast, as you guys are now watching this can see. So naturally, that means figuring out how I want my social media blogs to go. And everybody knows I love to talk. Well, I also love to write. And I write long articles. So I had to figure out, how am I going to make this work with my blogs as well, right? So this time around, I basically want, this thing to be more than just news and current events. You know what I'm saying? That's what the last time around, that's what it became. And it was just chaos everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Now, basically, I knew what I signed up for. Okay, I'm not complaining about that. I knew what I signed up for. But it affected other things it affected other people that didn't sign up for that. And that's what I'm saying. So it has to be more than just, news and current events. So let me be clear about this. I am not turning my back on my readers who come to my social media blogs for current events, news, and global events. I would actually consider myself being a fool for doing that, to turn my back on those little listeners that has, during this time period of not doing regular podcast episodes on my YouTube and Spotify accounts and other platforms. They were the ones that kept my blogs going and going by reading the content and watching the things I was posting. So I can't turn my back on those people. So with that being said, what I've decided to do is decrease my coverage of the news and current events. And I'm currently I'm trying to decide, what days I'm going to post what content on. Because I haven't fully decided. That's why it's still kind of sporadic. Some days I'll be this day. Some days I'll be that day. It is very sporadic right now because I'm a one-man show. And I'm kind of trying to figure out where I'm going to put everything at. Because I want to make better material for everybody. Is my long-term goal. So basically, you can expect my show blogs and podcast show to begin to basically kind of start to shift a little bit, okay? And you guys can expect this shift to be a good thing. It's going to be a good shift, So it's going to be more varied. It's going to be more thoughtful, and it's going to be hopefully, more sustainable than the last time around. This past year has basically felt like Groundhog's Day for me in a lot of ways. And I've even compared it to that. Different jobs I've had and different things. I've compared it to Groundhog's Day, And I can finally say that things are starting to get smoother. You know what I'm saying? Naturally, I'm talking about my personal life too. It's starting to get smoother. So I'm writing out what you guys are listening to right now, these OTT episodes in advance. And I'm actually stacking them up and I'm planning on recording all of them out and releasing them basically without a weekly pressure of writing and researching. Hold on. I got kids going off in the background. Summertime, so my little ones are off swimming in the backyard and playing with the dogs and all that, running around back and forth. Typical, So anyways, let me get back to this. I also got allergies. Again, I live in Oklahoma. So let me get back to what I'm saying here. So I'm in advance. So I'm stacking them up, and I'm planning on being able to record and release them without my weekly pressure of writing, researching, recording, editing these episodes, publishing them, stacking all the news and current events, my personal life, creating a chaos and overwhelming, basically self-sabotage, to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? That's my goal. And as you guys can tell, what I've been driving at is trying to limit the amount of chaos. And I'll admit it, man. There's people out there over the past couple of years of doing podcasting, and I've been doing it a little over 5 years now. There's been people out there that said, hey, man, Mike's channel is he is very chaotic. People have said, he's effing everywhere, bro. Like, everywhere. And I was. That's because I was a one-man show. If I saw it, and I was learning as I went. It was by trial and error. So some things would work, some things wouldn't. And that would get frustrating. And I mean very frustrating. And as I said earlier, I am autistic and ADHD and some other things. So when things got off kiltered, or when things got thrown off, that actually affected me really bad, to the point to where, it got really bad for a while, both online and, basically professional life and my personal life. And I had to get myself going in a smoother rate and get my mental health and physical health basically going again. So I've been working on that for a while, and that's why I decided to jump on here today and do this little OTT episode to let you guys know that Mike's Random Thoughts is coming back. I actually have more than just this notepad. You guys heard that. More than just one notepad. Material already written out. So you guys can expect more material coming out very soon. Unlike the old days where everything was chaotic and I was saying, I'd be like, I don't know what happened. Rah. No. This time I'm trying to be more organized with it. And I'm not giving no guarantees on, I'm going to release material on this date. Or, we're going to release material on that date. You get what I'm saying? I can't really do that at this point. I can't make a guarantee like that. What I can say is you guys can expect more episodes coming. You guys can expect more articles being posted. You guys can expect the content on my social media blogs to become more unique and actually more random, which is why I chose the name of the show I did originally, which is Mike's Random Thoughts, because everybody was saying how I was posting so much different content and they enjoyed me for this content or they enjoyed me for that content, but they didn't like me posting the content over here or this or that. It was overwhelming to them. So that's what gave birth to the original name of Mike's Random Thoughts. But before all that, originally it was known as Blue Collar Thoughts. And that got shut down by different leftists. Actually, we're calling in and got the first show shut down the very first time. And I had to drop the name for legal issues, believe it or not. So I was toying around at the time what to name the show. And it hit me that everybody was saying that you post so much different material, and I like you for this, but I don't like you for that. And this guy was like, well, I like listening to him for that. And this girl over here is like, well, I like listening to him for that. So I had to think what to do. So change the name to Mike's Random Thoughts. The rest is history, right? Or so I thought. No, they managed to get everything taken away and taken down again. And I want to clarify some things. If you're involved in social media, and I'm only saying this because during the time off that I've been asked by people, who want to start doing podcasting for advice. And I've seen the results of some of the things that happen, and by trial and error again that I went through, I try to tell them a lot of what's going on isn't necessarily that they're out to get you or anything like that. Okay, so these social media, if you pay attention to the episode I did on social media, the censorship episode, the censorship episode that I did a while back, I went into detail about that because I posted the different social media CEOs at Supreme Court talking about why they do this and why they do that. So you can actually hear it for yourself. But basically what happens is third-party operators that they have set up these different programs. And when you're typing something in, or if you're posting a certain picture, everything's stored online. Think of it as like a big, massive storage bank, okay? Like bunch of lockers, right? And they'll have an image and they'll save it in their system. Kind of like, okay, so back in the day when you used to check out certain books, right? The FBI would get what's known as a flag notice saying that this person that lives at this address checked out this book. And it was known as red flag books. It's kind of similar to that. You know what I'm saying? So they store these images and they store the different key phrases, words on their algorithm. And whenever you post something that is in that locker, it will trigger their algorithm and it will get you censored. Where they'll be like, oh, you'll get that little gray box, you know, where they're saying you can't see this because of this reason or this, and different forms of censorship. That's actually what it is. You're just hitting a different algorithm is all that is. Like, so you just got to find different ways to word different things, find different ways to say it. I know it's difficult because we all believe in freedom of speech. Who doesn't? This is America. We love freedom. I love freedom. That's why I love my country, for our freedoms, for our laws and the things that we could do. However, we also got to understand how these companies work. So I've learned to just word things differently, look at other people and what they post and what happens. So if I see an image that's getting shut down a lot, I'm naturally not going to reshare that image because I don't want to take that hit on my account because of what's happened the last 2 times. So I just wanted to throw that out there because that is something that a lot of people bring up to me. This happened and because of this. No, you're hitting their algorithm or you're hitting their key system words or, something like that. And it's really that simple. Or in some cases, you really do have somebody that you personally know. Now, I want you to keep in mind that if you're not somebody that's doing social media work, such as a podcast show or a blog or some form of social media work, then you probably have a personal hater or even online hater, if you are somebody that does professional work online, that have a personal hater that could be reporting you to the system, like reporting what you posted or something like that in an effort of trying to get your account restricted or shut down. There's so many times that you get hit with notices, right? That's the other thing. Like if you ever been locked up or dealt with probation, parole, or anything like that, this is going to make sense to you. So every single time that you get told this is taken down because of this, or we're locking your account for this amount of time because you violated our policy on this or that, right? Well, it's kind of like a pattern system, and they got it stored in their system that you got hit on this day, and then you basically went along and some little whatever happened in their system, and now you got hit with your account again. So after a certain number of times, their system will boot your account out. Basically, it locks down, and however it works on their end, whether that be Meta or Google or whatever he calls it on Instagram, Musk at X, their people that they have working for them. Then they'll jump in and they'll actually physically look at every single thing that you've actually posted. This is towards the end, whenever they want to delete your account. I found this out because, again, it's happened again. So they'll decide, okay, so you were hit with all of these different infractions on your account, right? On your social media account. So on this date, you did this. And on this date, you got hit with this. So, you know what I mean? And we gave you a penalty of this. But then you turned around and on this date, you did this, and then we gave you a penalty for that. And then on this date, you turned around and you did this, so we gave you a penalty for that. And after this happens so many times, some guy that they have employed there, their job is to come in and look at all your different infractions on what you did, and they shut down your account. You get what I'm saying? I found out they basically lie to you too, because again, they shut mine down at 3:30, and they told me I have, I think, 2 days to get a hold of them to be able to unlock my account. And I think it was something like that, so many hours or a day or something like that. So at any rate, whenever I went to go do that, they said function not available. So I went through all the different trial networks. I even broke out the laptop and I tried to use that way, and I found out, no, they've already completely deleted it. And I found this out by using, naturally somebody else's phone that's not connected to me in any shape, form, or way. And I was like, whoa, they just flat out just, bomb, it's gone, decimated. So at any rate, My Stone Thoughts is officially back finally. And again, I got new material coming. It's going to be very unique. It's going to be different. Some of these episodes, you're going to want to see. I mean, they're on a bunch of different... I'm actually going to be including a lot more personal stories from my past. I know a lot of you have said, Mike, you should write a book in the past. Like when I went on people's live panels and different shows and when people got to know me, they'd be like, you should really write a book because of the stuff that you've been through, especially with yourself being disabled and everything else. You really should write a book. Well, being autistic and ADHD, it's very hard to write a book. I guess in a way, because I write out everything in notepads, I guess in a way I have, because I got a bunch of these. It's kind of like on my library, just stacked up side by side. So I guess I have wrote a book in a way. Someday I might get it published. I don't know. But I'm going to be writing out more personal stories. You can expect that. More personal reflections, more personal actually memories of my actual life. So I'm hoping that people will get to know me as a person, not just the face behind current events, like going in to debate somebody. You get what I'm saying? I'm trying to show you guys who I actually am as a person this time around. So you guys got that to look forward to. I'm also going to still cover, naturally, I'm a Christian, man, and I'm going to use social media platform, as far as I see it, to spread the word of God the best way that I can do, the best way I know how to do. Now, I'm not a man that, I didn't even finish high school, but yet I managed to make it to community college at Sacramento City College because of how California has their system set up. And I also went to the one in Elk Grove, Casumas River College as well. But at any rate, I've only had that as education, man. But I got all of this material wrote out. So you guys can expect more history episodes to come out. And I'm going to be using this to spread out God's word, as I was saying. We got Jesus' life story, that special that I wrote out that you guys, I'm sure, got tired of seeing me post about and go on and on about. Well, it was very exciting at the time for myself, finding out about our Lord and Savior, not just from a church and biblical aspect of who he was, like what you can expect a typical pastor or a typical priest or a rabbi to tell you. No, I wanted to know who he was as a person. You get what I'm saying? Who was Jesus, man? Who was he as a person? And then, me being involved in the world that I came from, you guys that know me long term know about that world. You know who I knew. You guys know about some of the circles I was in. I wanted to know, I got tired of the conspiracy theories about Jesus. What about the Priory of Sion? What about the bloodline theory? What about he never died on a cross? He actually escaped. They put somebody else on there. What about this? What about that? Well, what about the Muslims? The Muslims believe this about Jesus and blah, blah, blah. And how could you say this whenever scientists say this about his birth and the birth debate? And I got tired of hearing about this. I got tired of hearing about that about him. I wanted to know for myself, who is he? So I went out of my way in every single which way I could. And again, in college, I took anthropology, psychology, art history, classes like that. Naturally, I spent my whole life studying history and world culture and art and things like that. So I utilized every bit of knowledge I have. And I went in every nook and cranny that I could. I went to Muslims. I went to the Jewish community. I went to the education college level community. I went on every single level that I could to present you guys a special on Jesus, but not just any special. I'm going to show you where the conspiracy theories about Jesus' life in the end, we're going to debunk those on Mike's Random Thoughts. We're going to debunk all of those, a lot of them, out of the water. It took me a while to compile all of this. I mean, this is a very long time. I'm talking almost a year itself of research as I was already starting to do all this. You get what I'm saying? And just a non-stop, I mean, watching college lectures, going to different preachers. I probably made my preacher want to pull out his own hair. My pastor, Pastor Jimmy of Church of God of Prophecy in Tulsa. I was just asking random questions all the time, and they were naturally deep questions. And I probably drove a lot of people nuts because as I was learning this, I'm like, wow, did you guys know about this? So I was watching this, and I learned about Jesus in this way, and he actually did this and that. And then I read deeper into what he was saying about this teaching and that. So I really wanted to show you guys who he was as a person. So I'm going to bring you guys Jesus' whole life story. And I mean from his birth all the way to his death. And I'm going to bring it to you from a historical aspect, scientific aspect, and of course, as a diehard Christian like myself. From a Christian aspect, Jewish aspect, Muslim aspect. Basically what I'm getting at, there's even more. Because then we're going to go into all the Da Vinci Code, Priory Sion. We're going to go into all the conspiracy theories about Mary and his life and the baby and Jesus's rumored children. We're going to go into all of it. All of it. I have it all here ready to go. I haven't decided when I'm going to start recording that special out. As you can see, I'm very excited about finally starting to record that. Because I'm planning on actually presenting this at church, hopefully, in different places as well. So I'm very excited about that one. It took me so long to write this out, so long to study and research. I mean, talk about burning the midnight hour, or burning the midnight hour oil, as they say. I was up at all different hours, and I was watching everything I could. I was listening to every instructor I could. I was reading every Bible verse that I could. You know, at one point, I had a rough notes going on. You know, the old school spiral notepads? They were kind of thick, about like this. My wife told me, she stopped me actually, because doing research, again, myself being the way I am, I was writing it all out because I was reading my Bible right here. And this Bible, I have many different Bibles now. Well, not many, but I have enough Bibles now. I want to get more. Because to me, it's about studying the different translations and different things. However, this version right here is called a parallel. That's why it's so big. This is the NIV and the King James Version. And the reason why I love that is because, as we all know in the Christian community, and even the Jewish community knows this, there's a lot of debate about translation of the Bible scriptures. Okay, so I actually utilize 3 different translations. I actually can, through technology, use any translation I want to. But my physical Bibles at home, I use the King James, the NIV, New International Version, and then CSB, the Christian Standard Bible, I believe is what it's called. It's one of the newest translations, and I use all of those. And when I first got them, what I was doing, sorry, it's still hot as could be out here. But anyways, when I first got them, me and my wife were reading different devotionals and studying the Bible together. And we would take the different, and she uses an older version of King James than I do. And we would take the different verses and we would compare for a very long time. And we would compare them and see if there's any truth to the translation debate in our community. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you can't use that version because they altered the translation. Okay, so this is tough to explain. But really what I found out to be was every so often what they do is they take these Bibles, and as society changes our lingo, you know, how we talk and how we speak. And this is more than just here in America and England, or Europe, I should say. I'm talking about everywhere. As language adapts and changes, they update the Bible, kind of like how the dictionary does a similar thing, to where they update the wording and all that kind of stuff. Well, that's what they're basically doing. You can actually compare notes. Now, I'm not saying there aren't wrong translations out there, because I have came across them, okay? And I have came across some stuff that there's a reason why my CSV version, right, is kind of like off in the back room. I still have it to use if I need to. It's my very first Bible I got when I got saved again, so it's kind of like right here with me. But man, when you look at it, you could definitely tell it was my first Bible I got in a long time. It's highlighted through and pages are wore down, the whole nine. But this one right here I like because it's harder to dispute the King James Version, and even harder to get nowadays with the NIV version, because the NIV version is so many generations have been brought up on that version alone, in my opinion. So the King James and NIV, in my opinion, and this is my advice to anybody that is new to Christianity, or anybody that's studying the Bible, I believe that it's best for you to start with the NIV version and then go to the King James version, because the wording in the NIV version is a lot more clear to understand than the wording in the King James version for new believers. And that includes King James version basic terminology can be very complicated to both pronounce and to be able to use and to understand. As you guys have seen me try to pronounce them many times on different podcast episodes, I struggle with punctuation of biblical names and places. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I spell them. The reason why I do that is I don't want to be offensive to anybody from different cultures. You know what I'm saying? So I try to be respectful to them, to where if I'm going to say a name and I think it's going to be wrong, I'll be like, look, I'm going to try to say this name, but if I say it, I'll say the name and I'll be like, but I'm also going to spell it out as a form of respect for people from that culture. And hey, I give it my best shot, you know what I'm saying, at pronouncing it. So that's what I did. Do you know what I'm saying? Sorry about that again. People are going back and forth from my house. It's the middle of the day. Leave it to Mike to jump in here. And what I call my studio, this garage, it has no AC in it or heater. And that's why you see me over here just, it's like being in a tin box sometimes, But at any rate, you guys got a lot to look forward to on the show. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to post true crime material. In fact, me and my wife, she's binge watching all kinds of true crime shows right now. And in a way, it's kind of got my interest going in true crime again. But again, it'll be a different kind of approach, and that will be my approach. So basically, you guys can expect a lot of changes coming to the show and to the blog. And again, I have a lot of material to record and share with you guys, even personal stories and reflections on my life that I've gone through. I'm going to start doing that randomly on this channel. So you guys got that to look forward to. Very soon, my audio listeners, if you see me looking down here, I got another microphone going down here. So it's one of my efforts in trying to make the show better in the long run whenever I actually start talking to guests again and get that going. I don't know when that'll be again. I'm having to restart everything over again. But now I can finally record and drop episodes. So at least I can say I got that going. And the blog is going to start evening out a little bit more. At least I hope so. You know what I mean? And I'm going to be trying to reach out to everybody to see how everybody's doing. I really am going to jump on different people's shows if they let me, and see how everybody's doing, Hold that thought real quick again. This right here is pretty good. Sorry about that. No, this drink is actually pretty good, though. It's one of these energy powder drinks I get. But anyways, you guys got a lot of new material to come. I'm going to start by, Stoner Show. I've been going into his chat room a lot, off and on. Hold that thought again, because gotta stay hydrated in that water. But anyways, I've been going into Bruce's room or Stoner's room a lot. I've known him for many years now during podcasting, so I've been going into his chat room a lot to try to stay in contact with everybody and see how he's doing. If anybody can say anything about me in podcasting, because I've played back old episodes now to get ready to record. If anybody can give me any credit for that, I'd have to give Stoner credit for that. When I first started, Stoner, he told me, man, Mike, you got to get loosened up a little bit, bro. He said, you're real uptight, like Walter Klondike. You're like, hello, da-da-da, tonight we're going to do this. He was just like very much like, you got to loosen up, man. Let people know who you are. And I got him to thank for that. Because if he would have never said that and me never thought of that, I probably would have still been that documentary like just, hello, we're going to get into this right now. Just all very serious. And he really got me to loosen up a little bit in that stuff. So that's why I really go by his room often to see how he's doing, to keep up with the Charles Manson case. As you guys know, I did my own true crime episode on that. But I went to Stoner's chat room to actually get a lot of the research for the Charles Manson case. I was talking to him through the chat room and other people in his chat room. You guys know how his chat room works, you know what I'm saying? Because we're all friends and stuff that go in there. And, you know, within a true crime community. And I would ask questions to get answers about the case. And I was actually listening to his interviews and just a lot. I mean, my wife said at the time she felt like he was living in a house. Because I had audio clippings just going of him talking all the time. Because I was trying to research and study, and I do all of that at the same time as I'm compiling it. So I went to his room a lot to do that. And then that brought me into other people, such as Dirty Water Jones. I'm going to be stopping by his room. I hope he's doing well, and I hope you had a great Veterans Day. All you guys that are veterans, that are my listeners, I hope you guys had an awesome Veterans Day yesterday. You guys all deserve it for your service that you guys have given to this country. So Dirty Water, I want to give you guys a shout out. I'm going to drop by your show sometime. Cold Bodies, I don't know. I know he changed his name back. I just can't remember what I know his Old Lady Rebel, but I don't remember what he changed his name to. I know he changed it. I just don't remember what he changed it to. You know what I'm saying? Waterbug, I don't know what's going on with you, man, but I hope you're doing well out there in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? Of course, Malice, I don't know how I'm going to track him down, but I'm going to try to reach out and find a way to say what's up to him, just both on a personal level and a professional level. See what's going on with him. So you guys got a lot to expect coming your way this upcoming year. I'm saying a year because I still got some projects going. I got most of them done. Finally, all these years. I got most of them done at my house. I still got some stuff to do, but I don't got as much to do. It's gonna free up some time. So you guys expect more material to come, as I said, and just more random subjects to come. Again, this has been Mike from Mike's Random Thoughts. Everybody, I hope you guys have a good day, and you guys got another actual episode coming your way, and I'll probably announce that pretty soon on one of my blogs. If you're a new listener, I do know some people started following me through Facebook, through Reddit, through Twitter, and other platforms. Oh, sorry, X. Other platforms. You can find my blog. I'll post whatever title the episode is, a flyer normally, or some form of advertisement or something will be posted on my Facebook blog page for Mike's Random Thoughts. You can find it with that same name on Facebook. Subscribe and follow, please, because I'm trying to re-up my numbers, man, because again, I lost them all. So I'm trying to re-up on my subscribe numbers and follower count on my Facebook account for the show. You can start following me on Reddit. I got a page on Reddit similar to Instagram, but it's on Reddit. For the main podcast show, as well as research material. I'm actually decided to, this time around, as I'm doing research, I quit being stingy with it and decided I'm going to start sharing it with everybody within a true crime community and religious community, because that's the two communities that you're going to find Mike's Random Thoughts in. Where are you going to find me at? If you know me on a personal level, then you know most likely you're going to find me in some theology circle discussing my faith, or some aspect of some kind of world religion, or you're going to find me in the other section. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I said that. But at any rate, you guys can expect more material coming very soon. Mike's Random Thoughts. Everybody, I hope you have a great day. Again, please subscribe to my different social media platforms. They're all brand new, and I need all the numbers to go back up. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do. Sorry, I know I keep sign off, but anyways, there's a lot of stuff that I want to do that I can't do right now because I don't have a high enough subscriber count. especially these days with the way they're setting up all the different social media accounts. If you guys are involved in the social media business, I know you guys know what I'm talking about. You can't do certain things anymore, like with the old days, unless you have a certain number of subscribers, a certain numbers of followers, and things like that. They just make it very difficult unless you have a certain following count. So please, I haven't done this before, but I'm doing it now. Subscribe to my different sites, my social media blogs, and this YouTube channel. Here pretty soon, I'm going to be releasing this episode on my Spotify account for my audio listeners. There's a lot of people that listen to my show, believe it or not, in different countries. And some of these countries, they can listen to the show on some kind of audio device. I'm not sure how they do it. I don't ask questions. A lot easier than they can, like a computer or something else like that. Like, again, I don't know how they do it. But so my Spotify listeners that live in different countries, this episode will be coming out to you guys pretty soon. And again, it's more or less just to let you know, hey, I'm breathing, I'm alive, and yes, the show is coming back. No, it did not fully get killed off, and yes, it is coming back. It's just going to be coming back a little bit different than what it came back before. I'm trying to be a little bit more, as you can tell, at least I hope, a little bit more chilled and, relaxed, kind of easygoing about it. So expect my Sternum Thoughts to be coming back. Everybody have a great night. See you guys soon.